Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Amina Jimoh Show at the Amina Jimoh Foundation. Today, with me, I do have a king of impact. When I say a king of impact, Mr. Paul Moda. Mr. Paul Moda happens to be my boss for so many years, for over 20 something years. I've lost count. And for him to be here, you should know he really cares about you. And guess what? He drove all the way from New York to be back in Massachusetts to give you some good trainings on how to make your life better. So I'm going to let the King of Impact introduce himself and why he's here tonight to impact your lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Amina. It's so nice to be here. And hello, everyone. So I have worked for 35 years in higher education, but let me tell you a little bit about my beginning. I'm originally from a very small town in central New York called Clark Mills. This town is so small, there are no stoplights, but everyone knew everyone. I'm second generation in this country. My grandparents came from Lebanon. And one of the wonderful things that I experienced growing up was the closeness of the family and the feeling of community. So when I had given thought, even at that early age, of what I wanted to do, I don't think I knew what I wanted to do until I was in college. I went to Elmira College in Western New York. In my second year, I became president of the Student Activities Board at the same time that we got a new president at the college. And when he started, there were two things he did. He doubled the student activities fee, so we had 2 times the budget to plan events, and he revived campus traditions. So I had been there the first year without him, the second year with him, and I noticed a huge change in what happens when you create. I always say it's not an event, it's an experience. When you create an experience for people to share together, that builds community. And contributing to that and seeing the impact of my contribution really impressed me and touched me very deeply. And so I actually started as an international business major, but in my third year, I changed to psychology. Try explaining that one to your parents.
Haha, tell me about it.
Oh, I know.
Coming from the Nigerian American way, I remember telling my own mother when I was coming to America that I wanted to do this. And she's like, "You think I'm gonna waste my money for you to go learn how to be on, the TV?" Oh no. So I see I could relate from where you're coming from.
But it's wonderful too to build yourself up to that. One of the things I learned at Elmira, people know what they experience. So when your mother can watch your growth, she can then understand the connection between what you want to do and the course you want to take in your life. And there's nothing like the truth of lived experience.
Sure.
And that's what happened actually for me at Elmira, because I got into my major and I didn't like it. I panicked. And I thought, what do I know? I like creating these experiences for the community to be together. I really enjoyed the traditional college events that were done on campus and the feeling of belonging that you experienced. So I said that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I did a internship at Corning Community College. If you've ever heard of Corning glass, that comes from Corning, New York.
If you're a New Yorker, if you're not, Google it up.
Yeah, I guess that might be something people would have to take my word for.
Absolutely.
But,
But talking about my mother now, it's like she loves what I do now.
Mhm.
And then she's like, I've even benefited from what I'm doing right now. So kudos to you, mama. But
It's one of those things where when so much of what you do is centered on things that you feel,
yes,
outcomes that you want people to just feel deeply inside of you,
absolutely.
that's not a number, that's not quantifiable. So it's only from living it
Yep,
and seeing it that you understand the truth of it.
that's true.
So I graduated in 1990. My first job took me to North Andover, Massachusetts. I was at Merrimack College as assistant director for 3.5 years. And then they had some budget cuts and I lost my job and I
Oh,
went
yeah.
through 6 months of unemployment, really wondering that I felt time stand still
Mm.
because I was worried, am I going to have to move home?
Yes.
And it was nice to know that I could do that if I needed to.
Mhm,
But I was hired at Bunker Hill Community College,
mhm.
a wonderful, I'm sure you've told your audience a lot about Bunker Hill.
He's the king of Bunker Hill, and I'm the queen of Bunker Hill. So we call the queen. I'm sure a lot of people are like, some people are like, why do you call your members king and queens? I'm like, that's where I started from. So you see where I got my impact from him. So when you have a boss who cares about you, he was there and he guided every one of us. Some people never left. They worked for him. And at the end of the day, life went on. Sometimes we don't see each other, but trust me, when we see each other, we pick it up. That's what respect, loyalty, and being true to yourself causes. If I were to be bad, I don't think we'll still connect till this present time. So when you're doing things, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about how you impact people. He impacted my life, he impacted other people's lives. That is why I still stayed with him. He was there with me too. When he does things, he would reach out. This is what we're doing. If I can go, if other people could go. We love Paul. There's no one that does not love Paul, and he loved us. So we're that family. So when you see me doing my love on that Amina Jimoh platform, I also got my love from him. That's why sometimes I come to my platform and I'm like, you don't want to be here, F off. Like, I'm going to say it bluntly. Like, I'm being loved at home and I'm being loved at work. So I don't need you to. One thing is, when you start craving validation from people, you're lost. So just be yourself and be true to yourself. I'll keep quiet on that and let him continue.
That's a beautiful segue because to love the effect and the impact that you have on people, it's got to come from someplace that's true for you.
Yes.
So when I went to college, coming from such a small hometown, I was terrified. I knew I wanted to see the world, but I was terrified because I came from such a small hometown. On my first day, a student mentor took an interest in me, and it meant the world. I thought, why is this person paying attention to me? They cared, they checked in with me, they helped get me connected to the theater department and student activities. And I was so grateful. And the end of my orientation, and in case you don't know, orientation is a couple of day program that they do before classes start to welcome students to the campus. This is how Amina and I work together because she was one of our head mentors, and she was responsible for helping us interview other mentors and training them and welcoming new students to the college. But for me, my connection to this field began with my student experience. I was a first generation college student. I did not know what to expect. And you can imagine being new, you're a little unsure of yourself too. That extra care that a returning student made for me made me feel connected. It made me feel like I belonged, and it made a huge difference. So when I faced a crisis in my junior year and I realized my major, I didn't like it. What am I supposed to do now? Well, what do I know? What do I know is true in my life? And what do I like? And I loved the community involvement that I had as a student. I loved the sense of belonging that it created for me. So for me, when I decided to go into this work, I call it lived experience, I call it expert knowledge. My impulse, my priority, my vision, my heart was to make other people feel connected too. So that, like me, they would not be nervous, they would not be scared, they could exhale and just really grow. I grew in ways I never could have imagined in college, and it was amazing. So to do that as a professional was a tremendous delight, a tremendous honor, because when people go to school and when you choose to be in a leadership role with them through that experience, you're kind of opening up your container to welcome people in. And with that comes a social responsibility. I would always say to our students when we would interview them, we will not let just anyone be the first person to say hello to a new student, because I know from personal experience how transformational that can be. So every student I would come into contact with, I would want that same experience for them. And of course, 30 years into it, I'm doing it better now than I did when I started, but you learn. And one of the wonderful things at Bunker Hill was our diversity. 100 countries, 75 languages, the culture and community, so amazing. And to create community in an audience of people from such different backgrounds, it was just amazing. And it wasn't just welcoming new students through orientation. We created an event called Family Day. And you would remember we invited students to bring their families with them, because it wasn't just the student who comes through the door when we welcome them to the college, it's everyone who shares that experience with them. And the important part of that is you can talk to someone about what something is like, but for parents, especially because about 75% of our students are also first generation, they've never been to school either. So to bring them into the college, to show them they're in a place where their son or daughter are welcome and they feel like they belong.
And I would like to add something to it, like the cultural difference too.
Yes.
The cultural shock.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the things you learn as a result of the culture shock. I knew a student who had to bring her mother with her to financial aid because she could not believe, the mother could not believe you could get money for free to help pay for your education in the United States. And there are those nuances that are so delightful to learn, but also when you can build a bridge and prove to someone that they can be successful, they can do it. To introduce them, one of the most important things we did with orientation was we had a very diverse group, because it was very important to us that when new students came to the college, that they saw someone who looked like them, who sounded like them, and that's everyone. You know, I always say everyone has a place at the table,
True.
and we like a big table.
Yeah.
And you need that if you're going to honor the purpose of what you're doing and the vision of what you represent to people. This is what inclusion means.
And that was when I added the multicultural club.
Yes.
Where we brought food from different countries. Christine, if you're watching me, I love you. She's from China. She was my vice president. I was the president.
Oh, how nice.
So we would bring food from everywhere. Paul would approve the money and we would go around, buy some food from different countries. You'd see a lot of people coming in because they loved the inclusion, they loved the diversity. We made it happen. So it was not just being like the head mentor. We were everywhere making sure thanks to the king of impact, that all this happened.
But the king of impact would never have been effective without the network that
Yes.
the students brought to that work. I mean, look at me. I know that I can't reach every student, but I'm smart enough to know to do that, there are a lot of other people I need to collaborate with to do that. And that's what inclusion is. And, one of the other important things I would like to share, people would see the smile, people would feel the love, but they would also think, when you see that, people don't always understand how much work it takes to put a smile on your face,
Yes.
to make someone feel like they belong, and the work that's involved to get there. So one of the things I also would do is talk to our mentors and partner with them to really fortify student life at the school. And the nice thing is, we did celebrations, we love celebrations, tons of celebrations, but we were also able to do other important things. Years after you left, we were the first community college in Massachusetts to convene a conference on food insecurity. And where that came from was our students extending gratitude for the cultural festivals, but also revealing they couldn't always eat every time. We found that 47% of our students experience some form of food insecurity, which could either mean not having enough money for food, skipping meals, but it was some kind of habit. And what was wonderful was there were times, because we were a state school, when we could meet with legislators and representatives to educate them about our students' experience. So if you were to ask me my favorite memory of the school, it was one of them, because I have a million of them after 35 years working with the state. We've done some amazing things. But one of my favorite memories was when we made the Commissioner of Higher Education cry.
Wow.
Because he was newly appointed to his position. So the Commissioner of Higher Education plays a leadership role statewide in public higher education in Massachusetts. There are 29 institutions of public higher education in the state, the UMasses, the state universities, and the community colleges. We were the first school he went to when he was first appointed to the position. So I carefully curated a group of students to meet with him, and I said to them, tell him what he doesn't know. Yes. About the challenges you experience. And they were talking about food insecurity. They were talking about homelessness. They were talking about childcare and being parents, or testing into developmental classes and taking longer to complete their program. On an aside, 40%, only 40% of community college students nationwide complete their program. That means the life challenges students experience are very significant obstacles to their success. They made him cry. And what was wonderful was when we invited him back to the college, and he spoke at we were the first college to convene Voices of Hunger, a statewide conference. He talked about that story when he gave the keynote. And years later, when he was our commencement speaker, he told that story. So I kind of had fun going to the students next to me. We made him cry. And, I took pride in that. But think about the impact. When you're a student, you're just trying to get from day to day. Yes. You're just trying to make things work. And you can spend so much time being occupied with everything that's being demanded of you. You may not have the luxury of a quiet moment, a reflective moment. And to be able to go to that group of students who also met with people from the Government Accountability Office. Doesn't that sound scary?
Oh, yeah.
Another fun story is Senator Elizabeth Warren heard about Voices of Hunger and sent the Government Accountability Office to do a statewide survey of schools, and a very similar group of students met with them. They sent me a thank you note and said, we will now require any school we go to give us a group of students to speak with, because they were so impressed with our students. That's the extra impact beyond belonging. You know, you kind of start there, and then you can go so much deeper. And the college now, they have the staff and support programs are amazing. They have a person who, for every kind of student challenge you can imagine, culture, financial, economic, we have either an office or a person responsible for providing that support. That's the beauty of what can come from belonging and inclusion.
And I love that they reached out to the people who really had the problem. Because in a lot of places, I think, not even I think, it's what is happening right now. It's like you have someone who cannot relate, who has no empathy. Sorry to say, some people just work and don't like their jobs. Then they mess up people's lives because they have zero clue of what you are going through. So it's high time people start thinking about, do I really like what I'm doing? And if you don't, it's okay. Like step aside. Just like he said, the students were asked, he made them speak for themselves. So I'm trying to say that if you're a government official, you're a king, whoever is watching me, I know this is a global platform, it's high time you go back if you really want to help. Like you see victims are told to be quiet, are told to, oh, did that really happen? So it's like somebody is telling their story and you're telling them to rewrite how they're telling their story. That's not helpful. Right. So it's time you hear from people, and when you hear from them, be intentional about really wanting to help them. And if you don't want to be, just let them be. Don't harm them any further. Just like he did these programs where people could not eat, but even the commissioner came and had empathy. Empathy is no, you don't have to go through things to have empathy. He could relate in some ways that, oh my goodness, these people are going through this. And that's why he cried. Crying now I come from the two worlds, the Nigerian world that says you're weak when you're crying, and the American world where it's okay to cry. So for him to cry, he's showing them that I love you, I can relate with you, and I'm ready to help you. Am I saying anyone that goes out to cry is lying? We have a lot of Nigerian politicians who will cry every day and mess you and screw your life up. I know some of you are watching me. Maybe it's high time you go back and fix the country. I'm sorry to say. I say it the way it is. I'm unapologetic, like you know. However, if you want to build things, do it the right way. Because you might not know your child might need that tomorrow. Sometimes you think you're only doing this for people. But sometimes maybe you're past, and somebody would say, that's the son of this person. Oh, your father did this. Oh, your mother did this. And kids do not learn from what you tell them. They watch you, they emulate you. So it's high time people start knowing about that. We're not going to keep talking about all the nice, lovely stories. Yes, it's good to know that this lovely state worker has worked so long for the state of Massachusetts. It's good to be a state worker. He's given a lot to the state of Massachusetts. And I don't know what they would have done without him. But tonight, he's here to tell you about ways that you can improve your life. So we would not be doing the question and answer stuff. I'm just going to let him take the floor to let us know about the other programs that he's running right now, and then we could take it from there. And if you do have questions, because I saw that some people said, I know Connings, so they're already answering you that they do know it. So I have already some questions already. Lovely session. Some people are saying hi. If you're here, click on the subscription button and also share it to everyone so that other people can learn and be impacted. So I'll leave Mr. Paul Moda, the king of impact, to educate you, and whatever questions you have, keep sending them down, and at the end of it, we're going to answer your questions. So thank you.
Pleasure. And if I may, one of the most important things I learned in my work in higher education, part of my job, I was director of student leadership and engagement. So much of what I learned came from the students. It came from the people we served. We're here tonight to talk about strengths and how to use your strengths. And even anecdotally, up to this moment, you've heard examples of the strength of the community, the strength of the voice, and how you can leverage those strengths to create social change. Another experience that was instrumental for me was I used to plan 2 student leadership retreats a year. And at one of these retreats were for leadership development. We did training with 3 wonderful educators in higher education for the new student government, the club presidents, and the student mentors. During one of those retreats in the evening, we would always have these wonderful discussions. And Nancy Hunter Denny asked the students, how many of you have ever been told you'd never amount to anything? And half the hands go up.
Oh, yes.
How many of you do not have the support at home to reach your educational goals? And half the hands go up. These are the elected student leaders. These are people we interviewed to be mentors. And I thought, if that is what they are living with, and if that's what they are bringing with them, how differently do we need to support them? So the concept of leadership as building someone up and taking them out of victim mentality. That seed was planted long ago. But it goes along, if you think with the other things that I've shared, if you're going to make people feel they belong, if you're going to make people feel connected, you want to build them up. So that type of application of how community can really ignite a flame in someone, be a catalyst for change. And we have known each other for 20 years since. And I
20
have
something years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't look at it, and hopefully I don't.
We don't.
So,
Not hopefully, we don't.
but when you do that kind of work together,
Yes.
the heart connection
Absolutely.
you develop is huge. So from that point forward, the leadership training I did had a very strong spiritual component to it. And a lot of it was focused on helping people connect to their truth, helping people see their experience as a catalyst, not a negative, something that can give them fuel and momentum to make a change. That became very much a part of the work that we did from that point forward. And the experiences the students had were profound. I remember I did a leadership conference a couple of years ago before I retired. By the way, I retired.
He's retired, but not tired. Retired, but not tired.
Not at all. No. I retired in 2024, and I have formed my own company called Purpose Rising. Find your way to a life that feels right. I'm going to talk to you about Clifton Strengths very shortly because that's related. All of this is building up to how did I make the choice to go in this direction next? Because one of the things I saw with our students is their lived experiences were not always easy. They were not always positive, and people felt like victims.
Absolutely.
But if you want to make people feel welcome and belonging and loved and cared for, that's where, having felt that experience myself, being the scared freshman, having a student mentor take an interest in me, that is how that grew over a period of time. So the moment did come where I chose to retire, and that was a difficult choice to make. But after 30 years, I kind of felt like I really want to try something new, and I've always wanted to explore how could we do what we did in the college community, in the external community, and what do people need in order to do that? Now, when we think about traditional forms of leadership development, and when we think of our understanding of how you get better, what does that usually look like for people? Well, you're doing this wrong, and this is what you need to do differently.
Focusing on the negativity. That's what I don't like.
Completely.
Yes.
And while that may help some people learn eventually, do you ever feel better by having someone point out your weaknesses.
Every day. It's going to even make you mentally sick.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, I'm not good anyways. So I tell people when they start complaining, even family, if you have toxic people, try and stay away from toxic people and your life will be better. If you have somebody that you go to and each time it's, oh, it's not going to work. It's not. Try and stay away and reevaluate. That's why I say there's joy in isolation sometimes to try and figure out who the hell am I? And that's where you can help yourself and then help others. But if you have that person who is always constantly telling you what you cannot do or you're just taking that risk, then it's time to step back and reevaluate that. Do I really need this person around me? Because then it triggers you sometimes and you're like, okay, they've already said I can't do it. So whether you like it or not, subconsciously sometimes you start picking it up and you it's like before you know it, it messes up with your self-esteem.
Absolutely. And I want to add to what you say and encourage people to bring a sense of awareness, not judgment. You're being judged. So if you're being judged, you don't like that.
Exactly.
So try not to do that to other people, but try to recognize people know to the limit of their experience. So sometimes it can be intentional. Sometimes I hope to believe it's not. And if you can educate someone and open up their eyes to a different possibility, that can be life changing. Go ahead.
I think sometimes it has to do with boundaries.
Yep.
People don't like boundaries. It happened to me today.
Hmm.
We went to brunch. I'm sorry, I'm going to say something. We went to brunch and somebody wanted me to do something another way. And this person was Nigerian. And I'm like, no, we're not doing it that way. And she could not understand me saying, this is my boundary. You're not going to cross it. And she kept going like, no, sort of like, you're going to do what I want. Or we're not going to do. So I'm like, no, we don't do highway or my way here. I'm like, my cycle is very small because I do love when I respect my boundaries. Do you know that? So the high time you tell people about your boundaries, the better for you. I always say it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Mm-hmm.
When you start showing people boundaries, you start losing people, but it's okay. It's only someone who does not respect you that steps on your boundary. So people do not like to respect boundaries. On all the Amina Jimoh Foundation platforms, sometimes I come at people because then it's like somebody's telling their story and some idiots will come out and say, oh, why did you're foolish. Why did you let this happen to you? This is a victim here.
Yeah.
And then you're already condescending on them. So somebody had the will. It's not everybody that even speaks about their abuse. So you don't know what people had to go through
Exactly.
to speak up looking for help. So the thing is, with culturally, like Nigeria, I would say, and most African countries, if you as a victim speak, they victimize you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a lot of the society whereby you would see people saying, okay, I'd rather stay with the perpetrator because then if I leave, it's more battles coming for me. So this is where people who respond to this, I would like maybe the police officers, the social workers, to start thinking about things culturally when they're doing things with victims. Because yes, we're in America, but you're serving different people. So I would always say, like when in the past, go out for like visits, you have to teach everyone differently. So it's not like coming into this family and saying, you have to, start typing. No, you have to learn about where to meet them at. Do they have to start learning how to brush? Or would I start with the computers? So everybody has that level where you meet them. I have volunteers from all over the world, from Nigeria, South Africa, and all that. But my American PA sometimes would say, oh, they're not doing this. I'm like, hold on. You're dealing with people who are Nigerians, who are South African. They don't see volunteer as what we call volunteer here. For them, volunteer, you're still going to pay me. I still give them money. but technically I'm not supposed to. But however, it's a different culture, so you have to mold them. So what I say is, okay, everybody's strength is different.
Mhm.
If we keep hiring and firing people, then you would never have anybody. I said, find out what their strength is, find out what the weakness is, whatever they're good at, then you can help improve them on the other levels, or find what this person likes to do and what the other person likes to do and assign it that way.
Mhm.
So I'm saying all this because sometimes people really know when they're poking you. It's not like they don't know. So they do know. They just want to know how far you're going to take it. And if you will sit down there and take it, oh, they're going to step on you and even tell you you're not lying down flat enough for them to step on you. So it's high time for you as a person to say, if you're for me, you'll be here. If you're not for me, let it go.
And it's a question of awareness.
Yes.
And a different mindset. So much of what you talked about can be generational.
Yes.
It can be cultural.
Yes.
And people only know to the extent of what they experience. That doesn't make that bad. That doesn't make them less than. It's just like you said, it's their starting point. It's where you meet them. So try telling your parents you want to go from being an international business major to a psychology major. They thought I was crazy.
Of course.
But it wasn't until they came to the school and saw some of the events that I did and the recognition I received that they understood. And then they felt better about it. It's wanting to bring people along who do lift you up. That's a very important thing. And the awareness helps create a filter so that you get to the point where you can fine tune, I call it the inner compass, where you can know, is this person building me up? Is this discussion going in a good place? Or do we need to take a different direction, take a different tack? Now, my father, I was telling you the story before we began how I was in college, they will tell you, and in high school, do what you love.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was doing, I was just graduated with my bachelor's degree in my doing job interviews. And I came home and my father said, how'd it go? I said, it's okay, but I'm not sure it's the right fit for me. And he said, do they pay well? I said, pretty well. Do they have good benefits? I said, yeah, that's all you need to know.
The typical of an African father would ask you that too.
But that what I appreciated, and true, but what I appreciated was in his life, the company he worked for moved out of state and we couldn't go with them. He had to take a job that was half the salary he had been making before, and my mother had to go back to work. So from his mindset, from his world, the salary and the benefits are the most important thing. Also, generationally, his obligation to provide for the family. All of those things are respectable, absolutely honorable. I have so much respect for my father, for what he managed, for what he did, for how he lived with it and the way he responded. Same experience with my mother. I happened to say this to my niece recently. People will learn far more from you, from the example you set, than from the information you share. Now those are the kind of raw ingredients that went into strengths. When we're talking about leadership development, now that word can be intimidating to some people. Do we think of ourselves as leadership? I'm probably going to talk about a few books that I've read during our time together, but one of my favorite authors, her name is Brene Brown, and she defines leadership as anyone who takes responsibility for themselves or others or processes and strives to make it better. That is a leader. That opens it up to everyone. And one of the things I firmly believe is leadership development is human development. You can learn how to run a meeting, but if you have not had trustworthy relationships with people, you're not going to be able to delegate. And I have always been very interested in what is the energy that people bring with them before the training begins. And can we approach training from a place of abundance versus a place of scarcity? Scarcity is you're wrong. Scarcity is don't do that this way, do it this way. It's a very old, antiquated approach to what people thought at the time was leadership development. But all that is corrected behavioral modification with a heavy hand. You're not making people feel better. You're not treating people in a way that makes them want to pay it forward for others. So compare that to, well, you did Clifton Strengths,
Yes.
and I'm going to explain this a little bit more shortly, but Amina's top 5 strengths are restorative, developer, arranger, strategic, and achiever.
So you see, I'm right. When I say I'm a leader, you heard that from him.
You are totally a leader, but anyone, I gotta say this,
Yes.
anyone who does this has the potential to be a leader.
Absolutely.
Clifton's strengths grew from a guy named Don Clifton. He is thought of as the grandfather of the positive psychology movement. And the premise, the theory behind positive psychology is how much better would the world be if we focused on what we did well versus where we were lacking? What would you want to hear someone say to you? You lack in this way, so let's work on it. Or you've got these talents, let's figure out how we can use them and get something really wonderful out of you. So positive psychology takes a positive spin, a positive approach to development. But what was fascinating was Don Clifton worked in education for decades. And he dealt with students with academically challenged backgrounds. Did it for years, took that approach actually, but then he noticed that the high achieving students were taking a different approach to their success. He literally starts out his book saying, I did this for so many years and I got it all wrong.
Wow.
And to come to that realization that if we focus on where a person is strong, we can then help them be even more successful. And it's the beauty of this model. What he did a ton of research. His work is now connected to the Gallup Corporation. You might have heard on the news if they say a Gallup poll. These people do tons of research, and he perfected this instrument for an online assessment called Clifton Strengths. And what it does, it's a series of questions, choose this or this, this or this, and it measures you in 34 areas of talent. It doesn't measure weaknesses, it measures strengths. One of the things I like to say is we don't develop weaknesses, we develop strengths. But there are 34 of them. You answer the questions and it will give you your top 5. These are the areas of talent that you are strongest in. And the neat thing is the 34 talents are grouped into 4 categories. So the categories are relationship focused, influence focused, strategic focused, and execution focused. Now for me, my top 5, 4 out of my top 5 are relationship focused. And the 5th one is execution. So I immediately thought to myself, why isn't influence there? What is wrong with me? Why is this missing? Something isn't right. That's the old way of thinking about this. When I gave it because the reason I said that is, and hopefully this is coming through in the way I'm communicating, I do a lot of influence in my job. You have experienced tons of influence from me, but that came through relationships. It didn't come from a different entry point. So the idea between the 4 categories and the 34 strengths, they are each entry points, different entry points that can bring you to the same outcome. So I don't have to have influencing to influence.
Yes.
And the fact that I don't have them isn't a problem, because in my work, I have to have, and I believe this anyway, I think to influence someone, you've got to have a relationship with them. There's got to be some kind of rapport where you establish credibility and trust first. That is my way to influence people and to develop people as leaders. So when I saw this model and I learned its foundational principles, I thought to myself, and it goes back to what I said earlier about what my students were experiencing. It puts you in a place where you have power. You don't feel powerless. When you are challenged in any way, financially, economically, at home, personally, professionally, in the job, when you are challenged, it is very easy to feel less than. It is very easy to feel powerless, like a victim. That is, I think, a traditional way of thinking about tension and conflict. But with Clifton Strengths, you then can say, well, if I'm so strong in relationships, how can I use relationships to solve conflict? How can I use relationships to help people with food insecurity? How can I, and I would then, I knew all of the students I put together in that group, my relationship strength showed up very powerfully in the work we did there, in the work we did with new students for student orientation to welcome them. You have taken your strengths in an incredible way because, hello, restorative. What does a foundation do? You restore. You bridge gaps. You build bridges to restore someone's potential, someone's equilibrium, someone's pathway. You're a developer. Hello. You are creating programs and opportunities for people to develop themselves. That's a very servant focused mentality. A ranger. Look at this room. Look at the dance. Look at the outfit, all of it. You have a talent for how to put things together in a way that creates an outcome for people. Strategic. This is at a time of day when people around the world, it's not midnight for you, but it's 5 o'clock here or after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But it's done in a way planned strategically to allow for inclusion. The question becomes, when you know your strengths, what are the actions connected to those strengths that you can take to live your purpose more fully? So when I chose the name Purpose Rising, find your way to a life that feels right. Number one, we've talked about feeling earlier in this broadcast, because how you make people feel is not something that is always obvious. It's not something that is quantifiable, but it's experienced. That feels right. When you develop your ability to use your strengths and to leverage your strengths, you can feel that you know inside, this is the internal compass, when it feels right. You get that feeling inside that says, yes, this was the right thing to do. Yes, it was good that I put my energy in this direction. That's the inner compass that my hope is I can work with people to develop. Because it's really about turning on the light inside of someone. But the question becomes, how do you get there? And how do you get there given all of the noise? And I'm going to say that again, all of the noise that comes at you from well-intentioned people, ill-intentioned people, social media, all of it. There's this word, another book that I recommend is called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And he uses this word called domestication. He said, we're domesticated to believe certain things are correct, certain things are not correct, are right and wrong. And certainly we all need a framework for understanding. So there's some value in that. But the further question becomes, has what we've been told empowered us to be better? Has it made you better? Has it made other people better? I'll never forget, I'm going to see one of my mentors tomorrow. And we used to live in Malden together when I was in the area. And I'm driving her home. And she says, and she was like 5 minutes away from me. So it was no thought. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. May I give you gas money? I said, no. And the look on her face, she was so.
I'm that way too.
And I'm
like, I don't like doing that. And they're like, what are you doing? Yeah.
I was so embarrassed. And I very quickly said, no, thank you. And we had a good laugh.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I guess I need to unlearn some things.
Yes.
Because in my cultural upbringing, yes, you don't ask for money.
Same here.
you just do it.
Yes.
But for her to ask, then it made me feel uncomfortable because I want to do the gift of the ride to her, but from her mindset, she wanted to extend gratitude to me, and I was blocking that.
Yes.
So it's a difference between right versus wrong and bringing awareness to yourself and others. Some call it cultural competency, some call it emotional intelligence, but it goes so far to build a bridge of understanding between two people, so that you know each other well enough that you know that it's not an insult, it's not personal. I once said to her, because this was something I was struggling with, I said, now I know for some women, it is not a compliment to say you are so articulate. I said, but my problem is I love hearing how certain people speak. And when I see people speak with an art and a craft, I like to recognize that. How do I say this differently? Because we had the other discussion, I could then go deeper with her to say, well, this is something I'm trying to figure out. And I never want to be misunderstood by someone. So the bridges to communication and understanding that you can open are profound.
So I'm going to be putting his link so that you can book appointments with him to learn about yourself. Because trust me, like he already said, you have the ability. You just need to be guided to the right path and the right people. So when you click on it, when you book that appointment, remember to say you're from the Amina Jimoh Foundation or from Ajay, and he will take good care of you. Trust me, you're in good hands. So why don't you do it now? If you've not already subscribed, subscribe, because I'll be putting more things from Moda's website, so that way you can know where to book your appointments. And like I said, we're going to be pinning the appointment link down immediately after the show. So I see that some of you are bringing in questions. They're like, do we have to be live to book an appointment with you? No, you do not have to be live. Like we said, this is like a global platform. So you can, this has nothing to do with the Amina Jimoh Foundation, but like, I bring licensed people to educate you because I love it when people impact other people's lives. So you would go directly on that link. It has nothing to do with the Amina Jimoh Foundation. Like, Amina Jimoh Foundation is a not-profit organization and nobody has ever given us any dime. So I would like to be clear about that.
Yeah, I'm not, there's no check coming to her.
There's no check coming to me. So that way you guys know, because I know some people are funny sometimes. And so I like to clear that air. So book your appointment. And when you do book your appointment, if you tell him you came from here, you'll get a special treatment. That's why I'm reminding you. I'm not going to say what this treatment would be, but trust me, you will.
It'll be a discount.
It's a discount. So, whoa, you're better be getting the discount. So make sure you book the appointment. The discount is not going to be for long. I don't know if he's going to change it, but usually nobody gives discounts because, like we all know, you put a lot of work into those things. So he's only doing this because of me, because of the queen. And because he's the king of impact and I'm the queen of impact. So do reach out quickly because they will be closing the discounts soon. Am I saying that he might not open it? He might decide to open it. But why don't you just do it now? The year is coming to an end. Some people would say, oh, on the New Year resolution, I want to do this, I want to do that. So this is the right time to speak to Mr. Paul Moda to find out what next you need on that bucket list that you already have. So if you do have any questions, you can bring it. Ishaya said, thank you so much. This is really a powerful, impactful show. And Walter, who is my cousin, said, I cannot wait to book the appointment also. So all of you should contact Paul Moda. I'll be putting all the links, like I said, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. If you do have more questions, you can feel free to DM for now. Send it to the Amina Jimoh Show at gmail.com also, or Amina Jimoh Show, or Amina Jimoh Foundation at gmail.com. And I'll be sure to tell them to forward everything to Mr. Paul Moda. However, like I said, we're going to pin the links so that you can go to him directly. If you don't have any questions, we would like to end it here for tonight, or do you have other things to talk about?
Just a couple quick things.
Okay, sure.
So first of all, I would love it if you want to book a session with me. You can also book a discovery call. That's a half hour of time we would be chatting just to make sure my approach is something that you think would help you. I don't want to waste anyone's time or money, number one. Number two, I don't remember if I said this. So guess what my number one strength is?
What is it?
Connectedness.
Wow.
Does that sound familiar,
It does.
given my story?
Yes.
My number two strength is adaptability. 35 years in higher education, not easy to fulfill.
Yeah.
I dealt with many transitions of leadership. And one of the things at the community colleges, every semester, not every year, every semester, we would be bringing in new students. I loved that because it was always fresh, but it takes a mindset to be able to manage that. So I just wanted to share that to give you a little bit more about me. The other thing is, guess which talent is the lowest on average for people. So there are 34 areas of talent. This assessment has been in existence for decades. So in 2019, the Gallup Corporation did a survey. They tabulated everyone's results. And the least strong theme of talent, self-assurance.
Wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
It is.
Because it really makes you wonder, what have we been raised to believe is true for ourselves and true of our potential? And can we bring that number up for people? And certainly that's not true for everyone, but it says systemically, we need to do something a little differently in how we develop people. And the beauty of this instrument is you can use it for leadership. You can use it for your job. If you're a student, you can use it for academics and how you study. It is applicable to multiple contexts that people may experience. So I just wanted to make that point as well.
Yeah. And to add to this, because I believe what he said was really impactful, you already have those ability.
Yes.
It's just like people would come sometimes and say, oh, well, I want you to advise me. What do I do? And I'm like, before you got here, you know what to do. I'm just going to direct you on how to validate what it is that you want to do. So a lot of times people just need you to have a listening ear. And it's like they're calling you like, why are you calling me? How can I? Like you're about to say Shekosi. Like, what is it? Like, so it's like you're already pushing them away. Sometimes people do not really need help. They only need you to listen. So with this system, like he already said, it's going to show you your strengths. It's already there. You just need guidance. So it connects with the impacts that we do at the Amina Jimoh Foundation. It's like people already know where they want to go, but because of the society, what would this one say? What would that one say? So I want to say to you, to say to the public and, hide my ID. What do you think I need to do? And then later on, they're like, oh, that's what I really wanted to do. I'm like, here you go. Mm-hmm. So sometimes people are like, oh, you tell women to divorce their husband. I'm like, I did not say anything to nobody.
So many times we know the answers,
yes,
but when we feel disconnected from ourselves,
yes,
from the noise, from the domestication,
yes,
we doubt.
Yes.
This gives you something to go back to. Yes. They call this your talent DNA. And I do want to just say, you'll get your top 5 strengths. That doesn't mean you're all that and you're all there. You've yes. got to work at developing the strengths further. But the language it gives you for connectedness, if that was a strength, how cool would it be to think of yourself as a social architect? Yes. It gives you a language to think more specifically about how you're good. And the more you focus your energy, the more it comes back to you in ways that give you validation. That, yes, this is true. Yes, this is not. and that's how you filter and you develop your inner compass.
I agree with that. To add to that, it's just like culturally, sometimes people would say, I have an exam, I'm going to pray. But if you're praying and not reading,
Yep.
God is not going to fall from the sky to make you pass. You know, or so this is what it is. Yes, you do have this ability. Now, how do you continue to build it?
Yes.
That's where you have to. Some people don't like paying to improve themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say pay people to help you instead of wasting time. Some people stay, sometimes you'll be like, why are you hiring this person to do this? Because I'm like, the time you're going to use, you can do something else. But they don't understand. I'm like, okay, you're going to drive for 2 hours to go get that thing. Why don't you just maybe ship it to your house? And they're like, no, I'm wasting, money for shipping. But then you can get something done.
Yes.
So those are the things that you have to consider. Like, how do I manage my time? This would teach you how to do things like that. And how do I get maybe people to maybe market my programs or whatever? Because sometimes you can't do everything by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep improving yourself, like he said. It's not just because it's telling you, okay, this is how your strength, and you just sit there and expect things to work out. You need to put in the effort, the energy. If you sit there and not do anything, no action, there's no gain. So I would like you to think about that.
And with that too, the discovery call is free. I would never want to waste your time or take your money and you not benefit from it. A discovery call is an opportunity for you and I to talk a little bit more. There is no risk, no obligation. If you're on the fence, let's talk. And if it works, wonderful. And if it doesn't, I hope it'll be a nice half hour of time for you. But it's a low risk way. If the idea of scheduling a session feels a little too much too soon, let's chat.
I mean, what is there to lose there?
Nothing.
Nothing. There's nothing to lose. So why don't you just take that chance and book the appointment and find out what you really need to know? Because sometimes it's like when you don't reach out, then you don't really know what it is you want to do.
Right.
So if you reach out, like he said, he does not want you to waste his time or you wasting your time. And you can see from whatever he's talking about, it's not about the money, because another selfish person would be like, oh yeah, keep booking the appointments. But no, he really cares about you. And that's why the Amina Jimoh Foundation brought him down here, all the way from New York, to speak to you. You know how many hours that is to drive from New York?
5.
Do you know? 5 solid hours just to impact you all tonight. And he's not asking for the gas money or the stress or the accommodation. So be nice and be kind when you reach out.
Well, and obviously, I love you. I
love
love what
you
you're
too.
doing,
Thank you.
and I am so grateful
Thank
for
you.
the
Thank
opportunity.
Thank
and
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh
Thank
God,
you.
yes.
Mwah. Mwah. See, we have love everywhere.
Absolutely.
Love at home. That's why you don't need validation. So I would want you guys that we always come out to preach to, because I use it as that. Some people would say, are you a pastor? Are you imam? I'm not. But I would say sometimes maybe God wants me in the direction to show people their path. So please be kind. And if you cannot be kind, at least let people be. And do not keep looking for validation from people. It's going to mess your life up. The likes, the loves, don't care about it. Be yourself. Some people come online to have a fake life. At the end of the day, you see people tapping saying, well, I want to be like this person. Be yourself and find who you truly are.
Yes.
We love you and we hope you have a good night, because we'll be ending our sessions here so we can reconnect to find what we've missed about each other for this long. So I love you and
Love you
I'll
too.
always love you.
Me
So
too.
thank you everyone for
Thank you,
coming
everyone.
tonight, and we'll be ending it here. Have a good one. Bye-bye.